Hello and welcome, it's Deborah from Attic Lane and you're at day 3 of my 12 Cards of Christmas series. I'm going to share as many different techniques and creative ideas as I can pack into each of these short daily videos, and I'll list all the supplies that I use below the video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything. So now let's get on with today's card. I'm using a range of items today and I will list them all below the video, but I'm starting with a piece of craft paper. This is very light, it's only 90 grams, and it's a great way of adding layering and matting to a card without adding the bulk that you might get if you're using craft card. I'm using my ruler to give me a guide so that I can rip down the side of the page. This will give my card an aged, distressed look. To complement my sheet of craft card, I'm going to use a sheet of paper from My Favourite Things. This pack is called Hearts and Stripes and I've selected a pale blue striped paper. I'm using the same technique with my ruler as a guide to rip down the sides of each edge. I'm taking some Paper Artsy chalk acrylic paint and I'm going to use a dry baby white to apply this over my sheet of blue striped paper, and I want to do that to tone down the colour. And because I'm very impatient, I'm going to dry this off with my heat gun. I'm taking my scissors and I'm going to drag them down the sides of each edge of this sheet. This will give it a more distressed look. And I must apologise that the focus goes a little bit wonky here, but we do get it back quite soon. Now I'm taking some Memento grey flannel ink and I'm going to ink up a stamp from Impression Obsession. I'm going to stamp in a random way on my prepared piece of paper. This is to give the background a little more texture and a little bit more interest. Next I'm going to go off camera because I'm going to do some sewing. I'm going to take my craft sheet of paper and this piece of paper I'm working on now, and I'm going to sew with zigzags and with straight lines, and it's easier to show you this on the reverse. And I'm going to tidy that up just a little bit by snipping off some of the loose ends. This is a piece of burlap ribbon and I'm going to cut it in half down the centre because I want to use that to add texture again to my background. I'm going to find a good place for that on my card, and then I'm going to have to go off camera again so that I can sew this, and I'm going to sew it with straight stitching down the centre to attach it to my background. And there's the finished effect. Next I'm taking some natural coloured twine and I'm using an ink pad to wrap it around so that I can get equal lengths. Once I've done that, I'm going to snip it off and I'm going to tie the centre in a little knot. What I want to get is a twine that looks like a bow. I'm going to set that to one side while I concentrate on a little bit more detail on my background. This is Cosmic Shimmer Ultra Thick Embossing Crystals, and the colour I'm using is Tropic Pearl. What you do is take a few of these little grains and put them on top of your project. There's no ink to hold them in position, it's down to your skill. Position them on your card and then heat from below just enough for the crystals to adhere to the top of the card, and then you can go in and heat them from the top. And the final effect is very pretty. You get pools of shimmeringness on your card. And you can see I added a little bit more at the bottom of my card as well. These are tiny little Christmas bells, and I'm changing the colour by applying ink from one of my alcohol markers. You can see the difference when I put it beside the original silver one. I'm going to tie these into the centre of my twine bow, and then I'm going to take a punch by Tim Holtz, it's a Sizzix punch, and I'm going to punch out some foliage from white card. Bing! They all flew across the table at me. I cut out 4 altogether, and you can see them under the bow, the twine bow on the card. Now I'm doing something we used to do at school, and I'm drawing, very roughly drawing, a star. And I've cut out a large star, and I'm drawing 2 more smaller ones which I will also cut out. I'm going to add sparkle to the stars by using a Spectrum Noir sparkle pen called Pink Champagne. It will also help pull everything together, the craft on the back of the card and the burlap, and now that colour on the stars. This is a fun bit. This is the assembly, and I'm using a wet glue so that if something isn't positioned exactly right first time, I've got some wiggle room on it. And finally I'm going to take some words from a Tim Holtz sticker pad, and the words are Hello December, and I'm going to stick that in place. So now I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I'm going to leave you with some close-ups of today's card, and I will see you again tomorrow.